classroom strategies that establish collaboration. So again, you can read this list. I think we need to establish a school culture that is collaborative, that we are collaborating together as school staff, that we have open doors between each other's classrooms, that we're learning from each other, that we're doing building consultation teams, that we are consulting with each other and having a philosophy in which we share resources, ideas, and collaborate. But collaborating with students as well. I don't know how many students that I have worked with in the past that they had the answer to what would make things better for them, but we forgot to ask them. So collaborating with students in a variety of ways. I really like the book Lost at School by Ross Greene, which has actually a step-by-step way of collaborating with students. It's called collaborative problem solving, in which teachers and students can bring an issue to the table. We both have an issue and we need to find a collaborative solution to that problem. And so that book I would recommend for collaborating with students. Again, I've already talked about collaborating with families, providing them education and training and support, and reaching out to them in a way that's respectful and that they can hear, and collaborating with our communities as well, so that we can have resources for our students, wrap services around our students, and partner with our community partners. Classroom strategies to establish choice. So we want to have our children giving power to the powerless, I always like to say. We need our kids, especially kids who experience trauma, they might be really challenging in the classroom because they're struggling with the teacher time and time again to try to gain power. And it feels like he just wants to get what he wants in this classroom. And so what I like to think about in those kind of situations is that the more power and choice that we can give to those kids, the less they will be struggling to gain and take away power from us. And so again, we can work with those students to identify their triggers, the things that are causing them to re-experience trauma, work with them to create a self-care plan, to help them identify those triggers, and then empowering them in a variety of ways. We can have them ask us to eliminate the trigger for them. We can empower the child to get rid of the trigger themselves, to find a way to avoid that trigger, or we can help work with them to create coping skills to deal with that trigger. So if it's the lunchroom or it's the playground, we're creating coping skills with that child to help cope with those things that trigger trauma or fear for them. I already mentioned collaborative problem solving, giving them choices and alternatives. And again, this is perhaps a place where we can give children choice and alternatives. Maybe the end goal is not negotiable. I know that we need to get math done, but you can do your math at the front of the room or the back of the room. You can do your math with a pen or a pencil. You can do the odd problems first, then the even problems. Giving them choice about things that really don't matter to us. They have to learn the math, but at the end of the day, how they get there is maybe not as important to struggle with them about. And they will feel like they have power and choice, and that will help you in gaining compliance from them. But also giving them places for children who become overwhelmed to go, to feel better. So comfort rooms, giving them sensory interventions, consulting with our OTs in our schools, even for kids who don't have OTs on their IEP, getting ideas about sensory interventions that can be very effective for children who have experienced trauma. Elizabeth in part 1 talked about children who experience trauma being kind of functioning in that lower brain area. They're sort of in that fight or flight mode. So our cognitive interventions, when we're telling them to make a good choice or trying to talk to their thinking brain, we're not going to do any good. We need to talk to their lower brain. We need to come up with interventions such as running or walking or rocking in a chair, bouncing a basketball, things that will help them, that will speak to that lower part of the brain and help them regulate those emotions, giving them sensory interventions as well, and giving them a place to safely and acceptably express their feelings. I know that many times I see in behavior plans for kids the goal to be Johnny will accept directions without argument. But oftentimes I'm advocating for a safe and acceptable way for Johnny to express his frustration about the direction. for example. Doesn't mean he doesn't need to follow the direction, but we need to give him a place to put his feelings or to protest or to express the feelings about that direction. And maybe that's a plan where that happens after school, where he can take a safe time out, many other interventions. But giving children the experience of safely and acceptably expressing their emotions, because they probably haven't had that at home often. Expressing their emotions overtly has been discouraged and has often resulted in negative consequences for them. I think that I really like teachers who do a lot of kind of talking out loud with students around this. Oh, it looks like Johnny and Timmy are both wanting that chair. How can we solve that problem? Or you seem frustrated. Let's take a deep breath and think about something positive that perhaps you've predetermined earlier. I think children that have experienced trauma are often disconnected from their bodies. They have an action and a thought and a feeling, and they don't always connect those together. And so the more that we can do to sort of connect those for children, the more they will develop those skills and not see their action, their running out of the room, for example, as totally unrelated to a trigger or a feeling that they had. And so if we can connect the dots for kids and help them develop those skills, that's a powerful life skill for them. Classroom strategies to establish trust. So we need to work on relationships with our students. We need to have unconditional positive regard for our students. As I said, oftentimes these will be the students that are fighting for control with us, and so it's really hard to have a positive relationship with them. But we have to work as hard as we can to have that unconditional positive regard and use discipline in a way, again, that's productive and in a way that's teaching for students, and not using threats or yelling or coercion or anything negative that might resemble the trauma that they've experienced, not tricking a student or, again, making them feel like they're in a situation where something bad has happened to them in the past. Again, checking our assumptions, observing and questioning. I think that the FBA process is really powerful in this, so we're watching a student's behavior and noticing what's going on around before and after that happens, and then checking that out with the students. I noticed when we turned the lights out for the movie, you threw all your things on the floor. Could that have been because you weren't feeling safe? So checking that out, and sometimes students will tell you what they're feeling. And again, being a relationship coach, helping to teach our students to interact with each other, giving them the skills that they need to relate to each other socially, demonstrating those, giving kids scripts whenever we can, practicing them before they go into these situations. And again, not assuming that they have those skills and just aren't choosing to use them. They may be coming into your school without those skills in their arsenal already.